Hello everyone. Let's learn about the respiration and circulation. In this video, we will learn about respiration and respiratory system. Okay. So we will start. Why should we respire all the time? That is most important question. Why this process is essential for all living organisms? Okay, I hope you know about that. In a previous classes you already study about that. That is the respiration, circulation. There is a 9 system of in your body. Okay, so here we will just study about the respiration, right? So in respiration, all living organism require the energy. So why we respire? Because the living organism require the energy. Why this energy is required? For various life process, right? So the energy that is stored in a body, in which form? That is stored in our body in a complex organic compound form. Okay, so this, what is that organic compound? Complex organic compound is nothing but, as you can see on the slide, that is the glucose or glycogen. Okay, so in this form this organic compound is stored, right? So why this when, how that converted into energy? Because of what is the result of digestive system? We intake food, and after that digest and assimilate to the body and form the protoplasm of the cell, right? So in this form, this energy, how this converted into energy for the next process, that is the respiration. In respiration we are taking oxygen inside of our body. Why this oxygen is required? This oxygen oxidize this organic compound. What is the result of this oxidation? That is formation of carbon dioxide and water molecule, and the next third compound that form, that is the ATP molecule, right? So here you can see this is the chemical formula of respiration. Okay, so that is when you talking about the this definition about the respiration. It is a biochemical process of oxidation of organic compound, right? So what is the organic compound? This is the organic compound, that is the formula of glucose C6H12O6, right? Here after the respiration we are taking the in our cells are utilizing this oxygen, okay, for the oxidation of this particular stored energy. Okay, so this is stored energy in a form of glucose that is oxidized. What is the result? Here the formation of carbon dioxide, and the next one, there is the formation of H2O, water molecule, right? And the last one, what is how the energy is formed? When this oxidize, when you breaking something, so some energy is releases. Here the glucose also breaking down. After this breaking, what is the formation? That is formation of AT, that is a chemical energy liberated. Okay, how many molecules of ATP? There is a 38 molecules of ATP in a one respiration. Okay, one time respire, there is the formation of this energy, right? So I hope this is clear to you all. Respiration, why it is required? For the for the oxidation of stored organic compound. When this organic compound oxidize, there is the formation of ATP. ATP is nothing but that is the chemical energy. This chemical energy is utilized by organism for their life process, right? So how, where this energy, from where we can take this oxygen? Okay, so from where we are taking this oxygen? From the environment. Okay, so this gaseous exchange take place between the organism and the environment, right? So let's move on the next. There is the site. This is also very important. The site of gases exchange is called the respiratory surface. So actually for this process, this respiration process, what is named, that is the requirement of the particular surface or the particular organ or system. Okay, so that is the respiratory system. Okay, so where that process will be completed, that is the respiratory surface. So let's move on the next slide. In this slide you can learn about the organ of respiratory exchange. Okay, so where it take place, that is the simple step, that is the simple organ. Okay, so that organ is respiratory system. In this picture, in the slide, you can see here the alveolus gases exchange. I hope you remember the respiratory system. So respiratory system, commonly you know there is the nostril are present and nostril open into the pharynx, and after that the larynx is present. After the next one is lungs are present, right? And lungs having the alveoli means that is the air sac. This air sac having the capillaries, so many capillaries, and these capillaries having the actual place where this oxygen diffuses into the blood, and this blood circulate inside our body. Okay, with the help of circulatory system. Okay, so main circulatory system, main organ is heart. Okay, heart and blood, that is the part of circulatory system. That's why the chapter name is respiration and circulation. When we respire, so it is need the circulate this also. Okay, so here when you're talking about the respiratory organs, okay, so respiratory organ, that is the respiration is a simple physical process. So for the efficient gases exchange, the respiratory surface should have the following features. Okay, which features is required? Which one? First one is the large surface area. It should have a large surface area, right? And the next one is it should be thin, highly vascular and permeable to allow exchange of gases, right? So it is also very important, it should have thin, very thin, because there is the diffusion process will be take place, right? With the help of diffusion, this oxygen getting getting the proper place inside the blood. Okay, and then next one is highly vascular and permeable also for the diffusion of this oxygen, right? So this all important points should be in a respiratory organ. And the next one is it should be moist. Okay, so that place where the respiration take place, that is very important. This all things should be there. Okay, so here you can see there is the gases exchange. Okay, here the place, this is the alveolus. In the next slide or later on we will study about the full detail of alveolus and how this gases exchange will be taken place. Here this is the air sac. Normally you can see, because when you see the diagram, here the passage, here the, if this is the nostril, there is a passage of oxygen, here the oxygen. Okay, and getting taking place, this is the pharynx. Okay, pharynx. The next one is trachea is there, and then trachea is open into the lungs, right? And the next, this oxygen, okay, taking the place. Okay, where this trachea is open, that open into alveoli nothing but this one. Okay, so this diagram is alveolus. Actually this alveolus having, you can see in this picture, you can see there is so many capillaries, blood capillaries are there. Okay, it's somewhat blue color and the red color. These capillaries are blood capillaries, that is network of capillaries in a alveoli. Okay, so these blood capillaries, why this is present? Because it is the oxygen from this air sac, here the oxygen is present. Okay, when you respire, so this oxygen diffuse. Okay, diffuse in the blood capillaries. So blood mixes with the oxygen. Okay, so after when this mixes with the oxygen, blood mixes with the oxygen, then this oxygenated blood supply to all over body for the oxidation of food and liberating energy. Okay, so that's why this all properly all the organs should have this features, right? So let's move on the next slide. In this slide you can understand about the gases exchange. Okay, so gases exchange, the shape or and structure of plant facilitated gases exchange by the diffusion. Okay, so here this picture, this side. Okay, so in this picture you can see plant also having the respiratory system. Okay, and respiratory surface. Okay, so terrestrial plants are different and the next one is aquatic plants are different, but the gases exchange is done with the help of diffusion, right? So next one is a terrestrial plant having the different area or air space for the respiration, and then large plant also having the different places. Okay, so let's see which type of a terrestrial flowering plant having the many air spaces between the cells of stem, leaf and root, right? And the next one is the air space are continuous. Okay, so in this picture you can see there is the diagram of leaf. Okay, here you can see this is the leaf having the small spaces. Okay, so this space is called the air space. Okay, what is the name of this air space? That name is the stomata. Okay, so this stomata having the place for the gaseous exchange, and which for with the help of which process, that process name is the diffusion. Okay, so diffusion take place through the stomata. And the next one, when you see the large plant, okay, so woody plant, okay, woody flowering plants. So this picture, in this picture you can see this is the woody plant. Okay, woody tree. So woody tree having the bark. Okay, so that is very hard structure. And here the spatial structure, here when the we are talking about the leaf. Okay, so leaf having the space that called the stomata, but bark having the space for the gaseous exchange, that called the tentacles. Okay, so remember these two names, tentacles also the air space, but where is the position of this tentacles? Is lenticle is a present. Where is the lenticle present? That is present the bark of woody tree. Okay, and stomata that is present in a leaf, right? So plant having the gaseous exchange with the help of two structure, tentacles, okay, lenticles, and then next one is stomata. Okay, when we talking about the animals, okay, so animals, there is a huge variety of animals. Okay, so in animals also the respiration take place. The process is also here, that is the diffusion. Okay, so as compared to the plants, animals show the wide variety of respiratory surface or organs, right? So the respiratory surface differ in the various animals. Okay, you can see in all living organism in animals variety, you have to use variety are there. Okay, some are aquatic, some are terrestrial. So according to that, they having the use variety of respiratory organs, right? So according to their surrounding medium, this the certain part of the body have become the specialized into the different types of respiratory organ, right? So in a higher animals, these respiratory organs are also associated with the transport system. So here you can, in the next slide we can see which type of variety present in an organism, they having the respiratory system. Okay, so in this picture, in the slide you can see there is a three columns. The first column is showing the organism, and second column showing the habitat, right? And the next column, that is the respiratory surface, right? So first of all, we can see the first organism, that is lower organism. In this table we are going to lower organism to higher organism. Okay, so lower organism first, we you have see here, that is the protist, sponges and coelentrates. In a previous class 11th standard you already see the kingdom animalia. In a kingdom animalia you have to be seen there is a invertebrate to vertebrate. Okay, so invertebrate started the having the 10 classes. In that 10 classes you can already study about the protist, sponges and coelentrates. Okay, so these are the lower organisms. Okay, so these all lower organisms having the aquatic habitat, so they have the plasma membrane as a respiratory organ, right? And the next one is flatworm, planaria, annelids. You also always familiar with this animal. Okay, that is the earthworm, that is. Okay, and amphibians, frog. So these also are the aquatic and semi-aquatic, because amphibians you are talking about the frog, so that is semi-aquatic. Sometime it live in a water and sometime it lives in a, the lifespan of this organism terrestrial. So that's why it also having the different respiratory surface. So first of all the plasma membrane. Okay, so plasma membrane also work as a respiratory organ, right? And the next one is plasma membrane, and the next one is general body surface, moist skin. Okay, so body surface is also work as a respiratory organ, right? And the next one is when you talking about somewhat higher, so that is the insect. Okay, so which insect, you in the last previous class you already study about the cockroaches. Okay, so whole structure of cockroaches you know about that. So just give take the example of cockroaches. You have already seen that that is always terrestrial. So here from this category, that terrestrial animal is start. Okay, so the terrestrial animal, so from here the respiratory organ or respiratory system that develops, okay, from the class insects. So here which type of respiratory system, they having the tracheal tubes. Okay, and the next important word is this the spiracles. Okay, so what they have, they having the spiracles. Spiracles nothing but that is cockroach having the body surface. Okay, so in their body surface, the body surface open hole present. This open hole called the spiracles, right? So this spiracles afterwards that having the small tube like structure, that is nothing but that is the tracheal tube. Okay, so this is the place for the gases exchange. So from here the oxygen, this is the body surface, and here this is the trachea, and here the body fluid is present of the cockroach. Okay, so this is the body wall of cockroach. Okay, so body wall having the hole. Okay, this hole called the spiracles. Okay, and spiracles open into trachea, and trachea, with the help of trachea this oxygen diffuses into, this is the body fluid. Okay, so body fluid having the taking the oxygen with the help of this spiracles. So this is also very important. And the next one, that is archaeans like a spider and a scorpion. They also terrestrial, but they having not the trachea. Now here the tracheal, the when you talking about the human respiratory system, because human beings are the higher animal, full developed respiratory system. Somewhat from here that started trachea. Okay, tracheal tube. And before that or previous slide I told you about the lungs. Okay, so from this class the book lungs will be start developing, but not full developed, but that is started. Okay, so that's why here the lungs is start the development or get evolve in particular organism, right? So this is the book lungs as a arcade and a spider. And the next one, arthropods. Arthropods means you know about this class. So arthropod means appendages having the joints, that called the, that's why that this type of animals having the arthropod. Okay, so they also aquatic, so they have the book gills. What is the book gills? Now here these are the aquatic. Before that you have seen the plasma membrane work as a respiratory organ in a lower, but there these animal arthropod is also aquatic, but here the organ is present and organ is developed. Okay, which organ? That is the gills, right? And when you talking about the amphibian tadpoles of the frog, so here don't be confused, amphibian frog here. Okay, and next here also tadpole of frog. So there is a, when you see the whole life cycle of frogs, so there is a condition or there is a life span tadpole larva. Okay, so that is the larval stage, means just after the embryonic stage they are converted into larval stage. Okay, so that's why this is the tadpole of frog. So that's why when that is having the tadpole means development is start. Okay, so in this condition this and frogs having the aquatic condition, and for the respiration they are having the gills. Okay, and the next one is, so I hope this slide is clear to all. Why this slide is important for examination? Because 1 mark or 2 mark question are there in your question paper. Which type of respiratory organs present in a class protista or maybe insecta? Okay, so in that time you have to help out with this slide. Okay, so this slide help in that time. Okay, so next slide, this is the some few animals is remaining, that is the amphibian tadpole frog. Okay, so there they are the aquatic, external gills are present. Okay, when you see about the fishes, okay, so fishes also the aquatic, but they having the internal gills. Okay, so external gills and internal gills. Okay, so internal gills highly developed. Okay, when we are talking about the reptiles, birds and the mammals, okay, so this is the higher class. Okay, when because we are mammals. Okay, human beings are mammals, right? So that's why when you're talking about the mammals, so these are the terrestrial animals and highly developed organ, proper passage is present, that is the lungs is developed. Okay, and next when we're talking about the turtles, they having the spatial, because they are underwater. Okay, so they are having the respiratory organ as a cloaca. Okay, so let's move on the next one. Here the human respiratory system, so this is the very important slide. Okay, so you can see the here this is the human respiratory system. So when you are talking about the human respiratory system, which part consider over here? Okay, so here you can see the respiratory system bring about the inspiration. Okay, so which process for this respiration, which process is start? Okay, which process having inside the respiratory system, that is inspiration, expiration, exchange of gases in the lungs, right? These are the transported by the blood from the lungs to the different tissues. Okay, and the part of body. So the respiratory system and to be divided into two parts, upper respiratory system and then lower respiratory system. So what is the upper respiratory system? When you talking about from here, this is the upper respiratory system, and the next one is from here, this is the lower respiratory system. So which organ consider as a upper respiratory system and lower respiratory system? So here you can see which part of the upper respiratory system when you talking. So nares, nasopharynx, nose, throat, and these are the associated structures. So these are the upper respiratory system, that is a part of upper respiratory system, right? And the next one is when you're talking about the lower respiratory system, which are that is the larynx, trachea, bronchi and bronchioles and the lungs. Okay, these are the lower respiratory system organs, right? So here in this diagram, so how can you understand which part this is? Okay, so we will start the full detail. Okay, so how it is present, where it is present, the position of particular organ. Here the nostril is present. Okay, you know about the nostril. Okay, it's just a opening of your nose, that is the nostril. Okay, nostril opens. Okay, then next one is mouth. Okay, so mouth not the part of respiratory system, but sometime when the nostril is not working, when sometime you are taking air or inspire with the help of mouth also, so that's why we are considering this also. And this nostril and mouth open into pharynx. Okay, so when you see the oxygen path, so or when you see the oxygen path, oxygen start traveling from here nostril or mouth, and it get to the point, in which point it will be, there is the that opens into pharynx. Okay, so where it is, this is the pharynx, right? So here you can see this is the pharynx, that mouth and nose both are open into your pharynx. Pharynx is mouth passage. Okay, so pharynx, nostril and mouth both. Yes, because pharynx is the place where respiratory system and your digestive system is started in this place. Okay, so oral cavity, nothing but the oral cavity, also the pharynx. Okay, so in a simple language you can say that the oral cavity, this is the pharynx. After that the next structure is present, that is the larynx. Okay, so what is the larynx? That is also called the sound box. Okay, where the when you talking, when you are speaking, so where this sound is produced, this sound produced with the help of larynx. And when you see the lower organism, they not having the larynx, so that's why they can't speak. Okay, so you have the special animal as a human being, so you have the larynx. Okay, larynx work as a sound card. This larynx open, so larynx open into trachea, right? So where it is present, this is the trachea here. Okay, so trachea, why it is important? That is the wind pipe. This is the also pipe like structure, and that having the cartilaginous ring. So this is very important, it have the cartilaginous ring. Cartilage, that is the tissue. Okay, you know about that. So the cartilaginous ring surrounded to the trachea, because this is the pipe. So when you respire, okay, in inhaling, exhaling, so this pipe may be synchronized. Okay, so that's why this is very important, the cartilaginous ring should be here, right? And the next one is trachea. When you see the trachea, this is open and divided into two parts, this trachea. Okay, so this trachea is divided or branch in two parts. Okay, why? Because you having the two lungs, left lungs and here the left lungs, and here the right lungs. Okay, so this is open into this trachea, divided the two parts. Okay, so this dividation is a bronchioles. Okay, so this is the bronchioles, first one, second one, right? And the next one is when you see this is the lungs. This, when you see this structure, so lungs, trachea open into lungs. Inside this trachea or bronchioles, now the word is bronchioles. Okay, before previous slide we are taking that name. Okay, because that is the part of lower respiratory tract. So bronchi. Okay, so bronchi, this is the two parts. Okay, bronchi opened into bronchioles. Okay, so bronchioles having the tree like structure. Okay, in this picture you can see here, this is okay. So when we draw this, so this is divided, trachea divided and forms the bronchi, and bronchi also having the branches, okay, inside the lungs, right? So lungs inside that is open, having the so many bronchioles. Bronchioles, where it is finished, that is on the air passage or alveoli, okay. So in this picture, this one, okay, this picture you can see properly this bronchiole structure right here, okay. So this bronchioles open into this air passage called the alveolus. This is the proper place because here the blood capillaries or network of capillaries are present, so here the gases exchange will take place, okay. So when you see the passage of the gases exchange, first of all that is start with the nasal chamber, okay, then nasal chamber or nostril to nasal cavity, okay. So where it is present, okay, somewhat here, okay, here nasal cavity open, okay, into the pharynx. After the this pharynx, larynx, then larynx to trachea, the traveling of oxygen, okay, and the next trachea to bronchi to bronchioles to the last, the stoppage of this oxygen, that is the alveolus nothing but that is the air sac where the blood capillaries present. In the blood capillaries this oxygen diffuses and traveling started with the circulatory system, okay, and circulate to all over the body, right. So here when we're talking about the respiratory system, so just for the few revision, okay, here the human respiratory system that is divided into two parts, that is respiratory tract and respiratory organ. When you're talking about the respiratory tract, that is there is the nostril, nasal chamber, internal nares, pharynx, larynx and tracheas are present, right. In the next video we will learn about the detail of this human respiratory system. Thank you so much to all.